Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Coffee with Manitou session. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm just going to give just a few more moments here for people to join. We have a lot of users that are logging in right now, of course, finishing up calls or other meetings to be a part of this session today. But we thank you so much for being on time and ready to go. And we'll start this session here in just a few more moments. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for joining our Coffee with Manitou session on this month. It's a pleasure for you guys to join, and thank you for being a Bold Technologies customer. This month, we're going to be talking about the Manitou Cloud Services, the next evolution in security. For those that don't know, can't recognize me by my voice, this is Bryant Hardy. I'm the training project manager for here at Bold Technologies, and we are excited to present to you this topic on this particular month. We also have another panelist here that's with me. We have a lot of Bold staff that's on the panelist side today. We got Josh Tafoya, who's here as well as Matt Naranjo, who's our Director of Business Development. And a lot of you definitely know who he is, and I've worked with him before. Our guest presenter this month is going to be Kyle Smith, and he is our Cloud Systems Administrator, so it was very befitting for him to present this topic for you today. And we have Sean Blair, who's the Director of Customer Care. He's on the line as well to answer questions. Today's topic, during this webinar, we're going to explore Manitou Cloud Services. So it's going to be very simple. We're not trying to go into great detail on today. We just want to introduce this to you. We're going to talk about what is the cloud. When you think of the cloud, what is it? We want to answer that for you in simplistic fashion. What are the benefits of moving to the Manitou Cloud Services? And how can you prepare your monitoring center for the cloud? So we want to give you that 1, 2, 3, that list of things that you can do to prepare yourself and your center for the monitoring, for the Manitou Cloud Services. So again, thank you so much for joining this session on today. At this time, I want to introduce to you and present to others Kyle Smith. He's going to be our presenter on today. He's going to start off our topic by discussing what is the cloud and going from there. So I'm going to change it over to him to be the presenter, and we'll go ahead and get started today. Again, thank you for joining this coffee session. Appreciate you joining. Keep your questions coming, and we'll do our best to get those answered for you.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Kyle. Hopefully you can all see my screen here. So like Brian said, we're going to talk about the cloud. First one is, what is the cloud? So that's one of our biggest questions. Is it, Manitou 2.0, or is it just a big fluffy ball of water in the sky? No, it's think of the cloud as your monitoring center that's run by us instead of you. So as you see there, it says, Bold and our partners manage all the servers, receivers, firewalls, the phone lines, everything that you would have at your normal central station, but it's hosted in our data center instead. So our partners are Comm Service Solutions. They handle the alarm receiver, enterprise, PBX solution, and they also help us manage the Cisco firewalls. Another partner is OneTel. They handle the telco and data, so the phone lines, internet for your central station there. So here's kind of a little diagram that we have for what the cloud is. You can see the bottom part is the main servers. You got your FEP server, database server, web server. The receiver hooks into the FEP server. Database manager runs on the database server, of course. That's where you got your database updates, everything. And then the web server for your BoldNet. So those all connect to your virtual machine, which houses the MSM. So that runs all your services, of course, you all know. And then through the VPN that we set up, we run the, that's what your workstations connect to. So that's kind of how it all connects up, runs, works together. Does anybody have any questions or anything for that? Or
There's no questions yet, but it's a good time to introduce a poll question here that'll get us started here. So our first poll question here, since we're talking about the cloud, let me go ahead and launch that here. How old is your monitoring center's server hardware? Just give you a few moments to answer that question there. All right, I'm going to close that poll here and let me show it. All right, so we got a range here. We got about 39% of those attending today says their server hardware is about 5 years old or greater. So that's good information to know. With the Manitou Cloud Services, Kyle, can you speak to the benefits of moving to the cloud with these numbers here?
Yeah, so moving along to the benefits here. So we handle all the Manitou and Windows updates. So I know a lot of time you guys have to, fail over, run Windows updates. That takes time out of your day, all that. So now you guys don't have to do that. We manage all of that. So and that's not just the software updates too. That's also hardware. So we're going to be continuously upgrading hardware, server OS, SQL OS, things like that. We are UL 827 listed. So that's a big one for monitoring centers that are over 100,000 U factor. We're listed for that, so you guys don't have to worry about that either. We offer we can use a disaster recovery solution, so we can do hot replication over. If you guys need disaster recovery, say a tornado hits or anything disaster related, we can run those services for you there. All functionality of Manitou is available. So that includes video, two-way, GPS and bold track, bold net, anything that you can think of that runs in Manitou, we can run on the cloud. So you're not losing any functionality there. As I mentioned before, receivers, Cisco firewall, they're all maintained by both and our partners. So you guys don't have to do any programming on the receivers, no troubleshooting if something's not hooked up right, anything like that. If the firewall goes down, no, we all maintain all that for you guys. Server OS and SQL licenses are all included, like I said before. So anytime there's an update to the server OS, we have those licenses. SQL, we have those licenses. You don't have to worry about, running out of SQL servers or Windows Server OSs. We handle all that. Peace of mind. So between both technologies, CSS, OneTel, we all have decades of experience working with what we're doing. So CSS, they our partner there, I think 20-something years working with receivers. OneTel, same thing. And of course, with both technologies, you have the benefit of everybody here, support staff, sales, development here. So you have that peace of mind with the experience. Here's a big one, reduced UL requirements for your monitoring center. So instead of an inspection taking, say, 8 hours, inspections take about 2. You don't have to worry about them going through and unplugging your receivers, messing with your servers, anything like that, because they do all that here at our data center. And one number to call for support. So if there's an issue with OneTel or the receiver going down, anything like that, you just call the Bolt support line, and we'll take care of you. If you need to escalate it up to them, we will. We'll work with our partners and you to find a solution if we need to.
Okay, that's a great peace of mind. Before we move on, let's do another poll, and then there's some questions here to get a little bit more clarification on some of the things that you've already proposed here, Kyle. But let me go to the next one here and see. I'm going to launch it here. It says, how old is your monitoring center's phone system? All right, we're almost all in here, so I'll go ahead and close the poll and I'll share the results. All right, so about almost 60% or so is saying their phone system is about either from brand new to 4 years old. Okay, so it's really good to know. It's good information. Of course, the Manitou Cloud Services could be an alternative for you, and so that's why that's important information to know. Let me move to a question here, and I think we got Sean on the line. I'm going to direct this one at Sean. The question is, since this is through a VPN connection, what would happen if the network on our site went down?
So, well, essentially that is the most important piece. I mean, if that network connection goes down, you're not able to connect to the cloud system. So, I mean, that's true for any type of cloud environment. That network is the most important piece. So what we recommend is that you always have at least a redundant internet connection, and we set that up in the Cisco firewall so it would automatically fail over, or we would work with you to make sure that that happens. So really we look for two different carriers that provide a high level of quality service to ensure that that event is pretty unlikely that connection is always up.
Okay, and a follow-up to that is, in addition, what if the network goes down on the data center side?
Yeah, that we try to mitigate that. We have the way that the circuits are built, we're actually using 4 different carriers. So 4 major carriers would need to go down for the BGP routing to fail there. With that said, though, if there was some issue within the data center and all the the data center infrastructure went down, we actually have an MPLS line that goes back to one stream that we've ran directly, bypassing all of the routers and everything within the data center. They let us run a line in and connect it directly to our equipment. So that would also have to fail in order for this to be down. But anything's possible in the IT world. So what we're in the process of doing now is actually standing up a second data center that would be fully redundant. So in that case, we would fail over to our backup data center. So we would have to lose the main circuit that's BGP routed for 4 carriers. Then we would have to lose the MPLS line that's a backup that bypasses the data center infrastructure. And then in that sense, once we're ready, because we are in the process of that, we would fail to our backup data center.
Okay, very good.
One other thing, I want to step in real quick. Another thing we're recommending for customers at the facility is having a cradle point LTE connection with through Verizon and AT&T, so you have some diversity on there as well. So it's just for the connectivity at the central station itself. So if their data center or the data circuit at the facility was cut for whatever reason, there's multiple paths. Obviously, Sean described having multiple data circuits located at your facility. We're also recommending an LTE cradle point connectivity to the cloud as well. So it's just an added layer of connectivity for your peace of mind and just for your business continuity. We want to make sure that you're always up. We've thoroughly went through this with our partners with OneTel and David with CSS as well, and I believe he's on the phone call. Thank you, David. Just want to pass that out there as well. Thanks.
Sounds good. And one other question, and then we'll move on here. Matt, I think I'll direct this to you, Matt Naranjo.
Okay.
Kyle had mentioned earlier that the Manitou suite of products are available in the cloud, which is very encouraging. So your media gateway products like Auto Text and Open Voice and all of those different features that some sites are not able to take advantage of right now just due to costs and things like that. What about Sedona Office is one of the questions.
We are working with Sedona Office to create a link between their cloud facility and our cloud facility as well. Maybe, Sean, you can actually talk through this as well. There's multiple ways of having connectivity to the Sedona Office solution. Some people have their data locally So we would have a connectivity through the VPN that we would connect from the data center to the monitoring center. So that would be there, or we can connect directly to Sedona's cloud service, which we are in talks to getting that completed right now. So there's multiple ways of getting that done. But maybe Sean, if you want to address, did I miss anything that we're working with currently?
I don't think you did. We're really trying to fit in and find what the best approach is to do that. Most customers that we've worked with up until this point have had on-site Sedona servers, and they're not really looking to move that. They want to keep that within their walls. So what we do is we just connect back through the VPN connection, and we've had really good luck with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Matt, and appreciate that, Sean. We'll go ahead and move on here. I'll go ahead and hide the poll results here and kick it back over to Kyle to finish through the presentation. Keep your questions coming. I do see your questions. We're going to get through some of those. Let's get through a little bit more of the material, and it might answer some of these questions you have. And if not, I'll make sure I circle back around and pose those questions to the team here.
All right. Yeah, thanks everyone for your questions there. So now we're going on to how to prepare your monitoring center for the cloud. So the first thing is the monitoring center responsibilities, so everything that you all have to prepare for. So the Cisco firewall is pre-configured, and once you guys get it, you'll have to install it at your facility. So that includes, it's pretty plug and play. So when you do hook everything up, it'll auto-config the VPN tunnel. But you want to make sure that your workstations are connected to it. Your existing Manitou servers are connected to it, just to make it easier for us to start replication between the two servers, and then your workstations to connect those up. So when we fail over to the cloud, you all can connect. And quality internet connection, we touched on that with one of the questions actually, but that's, like Sean said, one of the most important pieces. So it's something that's got a quality service, dedicated bandwidth, and redundancy. So like Sean mentioned, 2 internet connections, in case one fails, you can fail right over to another one. The receiver profiles. So you want to get those and send them to us so we can work with our contact at CSS and have them input the receiver profiles into the receivers down at our facility, so there's no mix-ups with the signaling, things like that. So our responsibilities here at Bull is basically just build your environment. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on that, but it's really just building your virtual machines. If you're an existing Manitou customer, I'll get a copy of your database to kind of seed that over, and then build replication between the servers, so we can just do like a normal failover when we do switch you guys over to the cloud. Partner responsibilities. So this is with CSS and OneTel. OneTel will assign you your phone numbers and IP addresses when you get the data circuit put in. Phones set up at monitoring center, so if that's applicable to you, you will have, they'll help you set up your phones there. The DNS configured into the receiver, so that's our partner with CSS. They'll work on getting that, and then we'll map it through. And then the final step usually is porting over the phone numbers, so coming from your existing phone carrier to the OneTel side.
Okay. So speaking of phone numbers, Kyle, this would probably be a good time for a poll question in regards to the phone system here. Let me go ahead and do another poll here. Let me launch it here for everyone. Are your voice calls coming in over POTS? All right, I'm going to close the poll here and share the results. And looks like about 47% is saying yes, your voice calls are coming in over POTS. Okay. In addition to that, let me do one more while we're at it here. Follow-up to that question here is in reference to your receiver calls. Are your receiver calls coming in over POTS? All right, let me close the poll and share the results, and 56% says yes, that your receiver calls are coming in over POTS. Good information to know here. Let me look at one of the questions here and see if we can address one here. Now, one of the questions that came through here for the team is the database partitioned for customers or unique virtual instances?
If you're talking about the database server there, so that's specific to each customer. Each customer has its own database, and we lock it down so there's no accidental access for other customers there.
All right, thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. Sean, let me punt this over to you. What IP receivers are available?
So there's a mix. What we've ran into so far are the SureGuards, of course. So we have IP cards in the system for DMP, Bosch. Sorry about that. Of course, the timing when I unmute myself, my phone rings. So yeah, going back to that, SureGuard, DMP, Bosch, and AlarmNet are what we have active right now. And then, of course, any of the Manitou specific products like the XML receiver driver, universal connector, that type of thing is all available. We haven't ran into any of the other IP receivers yet, but if those come up, then we're willing to work with everybody and make that happen.
Okay, very well. And one other follow-up question to that, and then we'll move forward here. Let me see here. What is the timeline for the second data center?
We fall under those same UL regulations that all of you guys do. So as we approach the 100,000 account MU factor, which we're planning on hitting probably sometime in the summer here, we need to have that second data center in place. So we're actively researching it right now, and from there we'll look at putting in equipment and things like that. It's really just timing based off of the the account base, but I would expect to have that in place no later than probably the third quarter is kind of what I'm targeting.
Okay, sounds good. And all right, we'll come back to some more questions. Turn it back over to you, Kyle, and go from there, and then we'll come back.
All right. Actually, that was the last slide there. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, we got some more questions here. We got plenty of things to discuss here, so I appreciate that. One of the questions that came in, I just want to make sure we covered it. Sean, did you mention AES in this as well?
I didn't, but we've talked to them a few different times. They have mentioned development and things that they're doing that might make some of this easier, which I haven't actually seen come all the way through yet. So we would just approach that as needed with their IP modules. So most of the stuff out there that I've had people talk to us about are based off of their IP communicators, not necessarily just their radios, or else they would put in the IP taps to make that happen. And then we could put receivers here. We just haven't had anybody take us up on that yet, so it's not there today.
Gotcha. All right, and I encourage everyone to stay on until the end. I mean, we're through with the content, but we do have a lot of questions here. Matt Naranjo, I wanted to pose this to you here. So far, it looks like, the different products that people are presenting in question form today. It seems like Bold Technologies has taken more of an agnostic approach. You want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
As far as the agnostic approach to monitoring, or as approach to what was the?
Well, the question is just like the different receivers, the different manufacturers.
Oh.
It's sort of like we're agnostic to it, where we're kind of open to these different deployments.
Absolutely, yeah, you're 100% correct on that, Brian. Now, you have to consider us just an extension of yourselves. So what we are is just the back office type, the server room aspect of your business. We're not taking over the monitoring. We're just taking over everything on the back side of it, where the receivers, the telco, Manitou servers, all of that is going to be handled by our three partners, us, CSS, and OneTel. So we are agnostic. We're going to keep adding different receivers to our receiver farm. We're going to continue adding technology to our cloud customers at a rate where, frankly, no one else can be able to compete with that, because we're going to make things a lot simpler, a lot more efficient, a lot more revenue generating abilities for our central station partners to capitalize on that. The reason for that is the agnostic piece of it. We want to make sure that we have a lot of different options available to our customer base based on the packaging that they have on their system. So we have, if you're a small central station and you want to compete with the large central stations that offering lots of different technologies, well, guess what? Now you're able to do that. The infrastructure cost is mitigated across all the different, our customer base as a whole. So what you're doing there is, catapulting yourself into the 21st century rather than, working as just handling simple alarms. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's a great model. But everyone knows that everyone wants to start adding different technologies to their repertoire. Just look at the Vivint of the world. They are very cutting edge on what they want to provide. We want to be able to help provide that as well, so you compete with anybody and everyone.
Awesome. Appreciate that. That's really good news. Some more questions here for the staff here. As far as, will reporting and SQL access still be available if you move to the cloud?
Yeah, we do still have reporting available. We can do email reports, just pretty much all the same functionality that you guys have on your site right now. We can do for reporting.
Okay, sounds good. Let me go through a couple more of these here. The questions are coming in. We really appreciate that. Let me see. Got a question about pricing here. What is the price point? Matt, you want to address that one?
Sure. The price point is based off of your system configuration. So being that it's in the cloud, let's say, the majority of the people, I think we might have a couple here that aren't Manitou users. Let's say just for the purpose of our current customers and what that will mean to you moving to the cloud, you don't have to buy anything. You already purchased the software, and it's a different model as it was when you initially purchased your system. So the 5-6 figure system that you have to purchase to get the software in the first place, not to include any hardware, that goes away. Now it's just a setup fee. So all you're paying for is our labor time to spin up everything that we have to do to bring your accounts into Manitou's cloud service. So it's significantly reduced. You got anywhere from, I think the lowest we have is probably, I think it's 4,000 all the way up to 12,000. But if you have a large central station that your configuration is extremely complex, then that may go up from there. But that's generally the range, 4,000 to 12,000 as a price point to enter into it. Now the monthly aspect of it is going to be based off of how many accounts you have, and that will we'll have to take a look at that on a case-by-case basis. And then we'll also bring in our partners for pricing to take a look at what are you paying for all the other facets of your business. That's the main thing when we're talking about the cloud is the cost savings about it, and also the peace of mind aspect of it. You're not just getting both, you're getting 3 partners. So the pricing aspect of it, your telco is going to be reduced significantly, slightly, some range in between there. We've seen 5 to 50%, 60% on telco pricing differences. We've seen customers that are getting ready, they were just getting ready to order hardware for their new reinstallations of their equipment, didn't have to spend the $60,000 to do the new hardware. Their receivers you don't need them any longer, so you don't need the maintenance contract on there. So there's a lot of different aspects that play into the pricing of how we do the cloud in the first place. So that's something that we'll take on a case-by-case basis with each customer. And those customers who don't use Manitou, it's the same model. You're not purchasing Manitou anymore. It's just a service, software as a service. So it's the same type of atmosphere. You are paying for the setup. We got everything on the backside as far as the equipment is concerned, and it's just a higher monthly than what you're accustomed to paying on just that. But the cost savings of everything else that go into that, it's usually a savings across the board for you.
Okay. Awesome. A follow-up question here for you, Sean, in regards to the SQL reporting. Our customers are used to running, their SQL scripts and running their different reports in SQL themselves. What are the options for them to still be able to do that in this new cloud environment?
We do have some different options there. What we would want to do is look at exactly what we're trying to do. If we're just looking at custom reports within the software, those are perfectly fine. If you need direct database access, we're not against that, but I would want to talk to you about setting that up on some type of reporting server or another separate instance. One of the things we need to protect ourselves against is not necessarily direct access to that data. I wouldn't have a problem opening up just a SQL port so you could get in there, but I would want to make sure that we're not running any, we have to be careful with some of the database queries and things, but we would definitely work with you. We're not looking to limit any of your functionality or restrict anything. We just may have to talk about exactly how we want to do that to meet your needs there.
Sounds good. Okay, let me do a poll question here and launch this out and get a little bit more information. Do you currently have a maintenance contract for your alarm receivers? All right, so we got 30% says yes, 48% says no, that they do not have a maintenance contract. So I'm sure you're listening in here on some of the benefits of the Manitou Cloud Service. Hang on one second. Let me do another one here while we're at it. All right, this is just more of an IT-related question. Do you have a dedicated IT staff for your Manitou system? All right, let me go ahead and close the poll here. It looks like majority of the sites here are saying that yes, they do have a dedicated IT staff. And one last follow-up question to that on this poll question here. Thank you for sharing the information here. What size is your dedicated IT staff? Is it 1 to 3 personnel, 4 to 7, or 7+? Or are you guys using, resident IT staff or contracted IT staff? All right, let me close the poll here and share the results. It looks like 70% is saying about 1 to 3. Okay. All right, and I'm sure you've seen some of the benefits there that Kyle has mentioned in reference to us really managing a lot of that for you, sharing that burden with you as well. Couple of more questions here in regards to the presentation today. If a receiver is not supported, would a hybrid configuration work?
Actually, yeah, we can definitely do that. Where if you host a receiver on your end, you just set it up through the VPN tunnel and make that work. I think we have a couple customers doing that right now, actually. So, yeah, hybrid FEP will work for you.
And just to take a step deeper into that, all of our customers are coming over from, their existing, on-premise solutions start in a hybrid type of capacity. So we set up the receivers are still in place. We connect those receivers to a front-end processor, a FEP in our terminology. So we send, and then we connect it and forward it through to the VPN that we have built between your facility and the data center. So that's in place already. If there's something that you have, like an FBI or something that's really, it's an antiquated system, you have 5 accounts on it, something like that, that you just, those customers just aren't going to change and move over to something new until it breaks or dies or, whatever. Yeah, we absolutely can keep that receiver in place in a hybrid capacity, absolutely. And we have seen that, again, that's something our normal business model is as such. We start you there, and then we start porting everything over from your facility to the data center, and then remove the hybrid capacity of that and go fully cloud. So that's just our process and how it works. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Oh, awesome. No, you're fine. I think one last question here is just regards to the number of customers. How many customers are currently, in the cloud, and, what's our largest database, if you will, if that's something that we could share?
Customer-wise, I think we have quite a few on there now. In database size, the largest database is a couple hundred gigs actually. So we do have that capacity to house larger databases.
Awesome. All right, and we also have some reference sites as well. You can talk to Matt Naranjo about that. Some reference sites that people that have actually went through the cloud process and are very happy about it. He can give you some references, and you can speak to those different references that he has to answer some of your questions as well. So, who better to talk to than someone that's actually gone through the process and has actually done it as well. So shout out to Virtual Managed Solutions, Steve Body, who's on the call, and definitely is a supporter of the cloud, and definitely wanted that mention, and I appreciate him doing that. Saying that he would be willing to definitely be a positive in this process as well. Okay. Is there anything else that Kyle that you wanted to mention, or Matt or Sean, before we kind of wrap things up here?
No, I think I'm.
No, I'm good. If anybody has any questions on that, obviously direct them to the sales@boldgroup.com. I'd love to be able to talk with you. I know we probably have had some level of discussions with a lot of our customers, but as your time for your re-upping your hardware, or the new UL changes coming up, it's a great time to start talking about that, having a plan in place, and just get more information for you so that you understand what's available to you as a business. So we're always here to talk with you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kyle, for your presentation today. You did an awesome, outstanding job, and thank you, everyone, for being a part of this today and taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you, Matt Naranjo and Sean Blair, and also Josh as well, for helping me with the questions and standing in today. So enjoy the rest of your day. Again, since you've registered for this particular session, you will receive a link to the recording on tomorrow. So thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for being a Bold Technologies customer.